Here we go. Boom. Diving right in. Welcome, everybody. Hello. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to Firing Range, a podcast to talk about all things Destiny weapons, abilities, loadouts, and the sandbox at large. Thank you for joining us today. We got a full crew. Feels really good to have the gang all back together, and I'm glad that we do because we have a really important episode today. Truth be told, we were kind of sitting around talking about like, do we have a lot to talk about today? Should we wait for something juicy? We know right now that DMG tweeted out on Tuesday that there might be a banger TWAB coming on Thursday, August 5th. So we were like, maybe we could hold off and talk about that later. And then Joe Garoth, aka Joe Blackburn from Bungie, kind of went ham on Twitter today, reading just off tweet after tweet after tweet about their upcoming plans, there being Bungie, their upcoming plans about the future of D2 PvP. And I thought it would only be a couple of tweets. He just kept going. Did you guys, where were you? Was someone tapping you on the shoulder in Discord being like, yo, Joe's popping off right now?
Yeah, it was really good, man. A lot of exciting stuff in that. And we'll go over it, but yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
How do you want to, should I read through every tweet? Or should we should we do a thing where if you have a thought immediately, why don't you just jump in immediately with a thought? You know what I mean? Like, we're known for having interesting dives down the rabbit hole. So here we go. Tweet number 1 from Joe Garoth. Ahead of the showcase this month, he's referring to the upcoming showcase, which I think is happening on August 24th, 24th, I think, yeah. One of those days. They're going to do a big showcase about the upcoming, is it for the Witch Queen or is it for season 15? Do we know what it is?
I don't know.
Yeah, they're doing some big showcases coming around the corner. But Joe wanted to take a little time to talk about Destiny PvP. Competitive modes are part of what makes the game special. I can't imagine a version of D2 that doesn't involve getting a sweet new gun and taking it for a spin in the Crucible. So far, so good. I mean, like, I don't know about y'all, but I really do like that. I like the feeling of working towards something unique, cool, handcrafted, and then, like, why don't we take it for a spin? That's, like, a lot of what we enjoy. A lot of our content kind of revolves around that. We'll try to come up with new builds and stuff like that. This year, the team has spent a lot of our future-facing effort on plussing up the current PvP experience. You've seen some of this already in stasis balancing, reputation updates, and shifting weapon metas. Next season, you'll continue to see this effort with not only changes to 3-peaking, but also what the team has been planning for the revamp of Trials of Osiris. Tune in on 8/24 for more info. Anybody, thoughts so far?
Well, I mean, first thing, it's so nice not, I mean, you easily forget, dude. It's so nice not having stasis every game, man. I mean, it really is. I enjoy stasis, but the dust fields, I mean, the shurikens, we can all kind of admit here, it was a little out of hand. So it's good. So they said this year they've been working on these things. They pushed this patch, if we remember correctly, you know, they pushed it before the season or mid-season. And they don't usually do that because the Crucibles needed some help. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, what do you... Well, first of all, Trials. I want to talk about that first.
Okay.
There's nowhere to go but up, in my opinion, right? We've talked about 3-peaking, but what do we think they're going to change?
About Trials?
Yeah.
I don't know. What are the pain points? We know that Bungie, historically, when they try to address changing something, they try to identify pain points and then they try to alleviate them. So what would you think that the current pain points in Trials are? Maybe that it's not accessible to everybody. Maybe that the loot is occasionally ho-hum. Maybe that the loot is not, like, it's very difficult to grind out for the gun that you want. I'm trying to think what else. Just going down.
I mean, the elephant in the room is cheating, right? I don't know that that's going to get entirely addressed here. But if you hand wave that away and you say that anti-cheat is a separate thing from a Trials revamp, I think the big ones are the game mode. It's a terrible game mode. The reward structure, is an awful reward structure, and it's an extremely inaccessible playlist. Right. So I think if you were to address those three things, that would be like pretty great. I don't know that we're going to get those three things addressed. I have a horrible sinking feeling in my stomach that it's going to be like, now it's 4-player trials and that's it. And then, yeah.
God. Well, Merc, it's like that's the entire experience, right? That's the thing that kind of like blows my mind a little bit with trials. It's like it really, like Cool Guy says, has nowhere to go but up, because when we think of like what are the problems? Okay, well, the game mode sucks. The reward structure is like not great. It's not the most accessible, and there's cheating. I'm like, well, that's the whole thing.
The whole thing. Right? This is everything.
That's everything.
So I mean,
the whole thing up.
Let's talk about this real quick.
Okay, sure.
I mean, I've actually had multiple people at me on Twitter. It's like, and then I've seen it too. I've seen the same exact. People are saying, "Oh, great, you're taking 3-peeking away. What can I do against cheaters now?"
Oh, come on. We can't hold on to 3-peeking.
We can't hold on to exactly.
Yeah, come on.
There's got to be another way. I mean, but that starts with Bungie. It does. It does. But 3-peeking. So I've been burned way too many times on PC, dude. I stopped doing PC, and you know that.
We got burned together. Yeah, we got burned together.
Like, it took one time the dude using my gun, using Cloud Strike. I was like, done.
We've just very quick aside. Cool Guy and I were rocking people in trials on PC, and it had been a long day, and we were clowning this guy, and we were like, "Oh, dude, this one's in the bag," and we were at the tail end of the card. I think it was either flawless or one away, right? And then we were trashing this guy on Twitch, by the way, because other people are watching him on his channel. I'm not going to mention any names, of course. He puts up a little BRB screen for like 20 seconds. He comes back, 100% accuracy with the Cloud Strike. I'm talking like blatant. People are like going back and forth from stream, like, you have no idea what it looks like. It's like it's magnetizing to their head. He's jumping in the air and spinning around and like just getting these blind repeated no scopes with the Cloud Strike. And Cool Guy and I were like, that's it, dude, we're done.
You know, for me, like I completely understand. But I mean, I went to Xbox. I went to console. I have a PS5. I haven't played it. We've played Stadia a ton, and we can
hugely underrated.
We could talk about
hugely underrated.
We can talk about Stadia and console combined.
We're gonna have to talk about that later.
Yeah, I think that's a good segue.
You know, not everyone can go to console, or not everyone likes console.
That is true.
A lot of people love M&K, dude, and they're not gonna play controller.
Yep, that's true.
When they don't have to. So
it's a whole rough. It's very rough, but I am interested to see what Bungie is going to do to alleviate the pain points of trials. But I think we're all in agreement that there are many pain points. There are many, and they are large.
I'm at the point where I almost like, it's weird to say this. I don't really care about cheaters as much. It's like I match anyone that I think is remotely cheating. I'm like, okay,
that's dark.
Like it sucks when you're farming for rewards and everything, but like to me, trials has become like less of the rewards because of and I guess this is another pain point, like how even when there's an adept reward, I can farm the crap out of it and still not get a good roll. The roll I was looking for, you can't set goals. I kind of mentioned this a few times, and we all did. Can't set goals for loot. So now the thing about trials has been just playing good games. I just want good games, right? So for me, I know that's not like the average player that's probably looking to play for the rewards, right? But I just back out instantly, and I just say, all right, let's just run it back, cut our losses, don't waste time, and just play. Third person peeking though is a different type of evil for me. I like, wow, whoa, do I hate it? I don't think I've ever hated something so much in a video game ever than third person.
Because it fundamentally, like I feel you, Drew. I didn't mean to cut you off. It just breaks it. Yeah.
No, you're right. It breaks it. It gives you all the information in the world. There's a few things.
Free.
There's that and the exotic swapping armor and stuff like that. Oh my god, it makes my blood boil. Like it's just, these are things that I feel like, and the reason why I refuse to do them is because it really feels like it takes me out of the game. It's jarring. It's jarring that part of your gameplay experience is going to your menu, clicking on another exotic, or like switching your loadout and then popping your super. It just ruins the game flow. And I think part of the problem as well is the fact that the game mode is so slow that it even lets you do that to begin with. Same with the third person peeking and just waiting till you get this, optimal time and information to like, push as if the radar doesn't give you enough information. And one of the rare things that I think is a massive skill in Destiny that's unique to Destiny is being able to bait the radar, being able to fake the radar, because it's got ambiguity to it. And there's a skill of making someone push when, you know, they could have gotten baited, or like you're farther than they thought, or you're closer than they thought. And that just goes right out the window because of third person peeking. And I'm sorry to rant here, but like, wow, those things alone, just, those are such disgustingly massive problems.
I say well put.
And it goes beyond that.
Let's
Crazy.
let's continue with the Jogaroth diaries, but good points made by all. So they carry on. We've got to keep our foot on the gas when it comes to revitalizing PvP pursuits and keeping gameplay metas fresh. This isn't something we'll ever be done with, but we know we also have room to grow when it comes to new maps and modes. The first half of 2021, we've been working on the foundation, but we're spinning up teams on new maps and new modes. We believe in this investment, but it's going to take some time before you start seeing results in game. I think that I right at that point, I think I saw a lot of salt on Twitter. But what else is new, right? Continuing on. The ultimate goal is consistency. If you play PvP, the team wants you to understand that you will be getting new maps and modes every year, and that the cadence of those coming out feels predictable. But in order to get predictable, we need to open the faucet again. New maps will take time to get right. So to open the faucet for Season 16, the team is working on porting 2 vaulted D2 maps to be compatible with our engine updates. When we upgraded our engine with Beyond Light, it means we had to hand port all of our D2 maps and modes. So while it may seem from the outside like we're just pushing a button, there is a significant lift from the team to get more of this content back into the rotation. Before we carry on, that is a big chunk of words that I've thrown at you. How do we feel about that portion of what Joe is talking about? It's kind of a never-ending process. They want to do new modes, new maps every year. They think it's gonna start off to take a little, like, it's gonna take time to see that, and they're bringing back 2 vaulted D2 maps, not D1, 2 vaulted D2 maps to the new engine. How do we feel about that?
I think it confirmed something that we had all suspected, which was that there wasn't really an effort going on behind the scenes on PvP.
Right.
And I say that because he used the term "turn the faucet back on."
Right.
And I think what happened was a number of things. I think that there's a good chance, and this is just, you know, a hypothesis, that a lot of their PvP people went to work on the new IP, right? That's in incubation. I think that drained the teams. I think they shifted to a renewed focus in PvE as kind of their bread and butter, right? They put a lot more artists and people working on that stuff instead of building new maps, building new PvP stuff. And then third, I think when the pandemic hit and they had to go home, I mean, it's really amazing what Bungie's been able to do, considering that they are working almost entirely remotely in the middle of a pandemic.
I would agree.
That cannot be overstated. I think that came at a cost. I think they sacrificed PvP and Gambit to continue to create excellent content for PvE. And so I think when you combine those 3 things with what Joe said, he was being honest. Like, we might have had a team working on Sandbox and we might have had a team working on Trials, but like, we really haven't had anyone else working on PvP.
Yep.
And now we got to get the gears, which are kind of rusted. We got to get those turning again. And it's going to take a little bit of time. So here's some stuff to hold you over. In the future, we want yearly PvP releases for you, but it's not really going to happen this year because we have, you know, they're just now hiring people. They're just now spinning the wheels up. And
I'm picturing in my head being like, okay, like if there was like a restaurant with multiple areas of the kitchen, right? And maybe they have like a really dope smoker area, like a cool barbecue smoked meat area in the back, and they're like, all right, we want to like, we haven't smoked anything in a while, we haven't done our barbecue, we've been doing all service in the front, all right, we want to make sure that there's new awesome meat coming out of the back of that smoker all the time. And that's gonna happen. We're revitalizing the menu, but before we do that, we've been using the whole thing as a storage closet. No one's cleaned it out in a year, so so we have to clean it out first.
And we don't have a pit master who knows how to use it. So we got to go hire that.
So we're going to go
first,
hire a couple more people to work the smoker. Yeah, so I don't think, like, I mean, we know how, you know, it's not that we're like, Bungie doesn't work. They're all living high on the hog with their feet up on their sofa. Like, no, they're working. It's just that the way that they've very clearly been dividing their resources and their time hasn't been to every aspect of PvP. I'm glad they've been working on, you know, the weapon. I think weapon-wise, you know, aside from the fact that Trials is a hot mess, aside from the fact that Drew is up at night thinking about 3-peaking, I think, like, weapon-wise and, like, class-wise, like, sandbox-wise, I think the foundation is looking good. Like, I like the weapon meta that we're in right now. There's frustrations to be sure, but, like, I think they're moving in the right direction. But now they have so much more to do. Are you guys a little bummed? I'm a little bummed that the maps that because the community has been asking for maps for a long time. Me personally, I would rather have better game modes, but for the people out there who want better maps, I can't imagine that they're happy hearing that what is going to happen is like, oh, we're bringing you 2 maps out of the content vault. So they're not really new.
And one of them is going to be Emperor's Respite for sure.
Do you think?
With no changes.
No visual changes.
I want to add that I think the modes in the map are equally important. You can't have a garbage mode with a great map. It's not going to make any sense, and vice versa. Has to be a good mode and a good map for the mode. And even like, let's talk control for a second.
Sure.
Even down to where you place the power ammo, where you place the control points, completely changes a map. So I almost don't want new maps and modes. I want them to revamp what we already are replaying every day.
Yeah.
Taking like third-person peeking out of Trials, for example, brings so much new life to Trials for me. Not adding a new map would do anything.
Cammy, to me, it's like putting a brand new chandelier in a haunted house, right? Like, sure, not bad, but there's other things that we need to work on there. But yeah, if the people out there are looking for new maps, I hope that eventually they get what they're looking for, but I can't imagine they're doing backflips right now. What do you got, cool guy?
The entire thing from Joe here, dude, like, I needed to hear that. Because before there were questions,
I'll give it to you.
There's no more questions, right? There's a crowd out there, and I see it all the time, and even people, why did it take so long? Does it matter? Does it matter? Because they're doing it now. Well, it doesn't matter, because what if the actual answer is, we didn't have the resources, we just didn't do it? Okay, we move on, we're doing it now. Like, it doesn't, like, I don't think it matters to dig deep as to why.
I think it does a little bit, but I do think that it matters. But I do think that the more important thing is that, like, yeah, they're working on it now. And I'm glad, cool guy, I agree with you. I am glad that they're actually, it's good to hear them talk about it. I love when they do that. It's a shame that I feel like on Twitter, you really feel that there's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because we know how Twitter works. Like, half the people replying to Joe are like freaking out, being rude, being salty, being a dick, and it's like, fuck, man. Like, if he doesn't say anything, then you get people on Twitter being like, cool with all the radio silence, Bungie, like, we're waiting forever and you don't want to tell shit.
Yeah, let's talk about that radio silence for a sec. I was gonna say, if they said they didn't have the resources 6 months ago, a player like me probably would have just checked out and said, all right, see you in 6 months.
Yeah.
But in the end, I mean, like I said, my honest to heart deal, it's like, well, if you're asking those questions today, now if you're listening to this podcast, whether it be on Spotify, here on Twitch, it's been 2 years. You like the game. We want the game to get better. We want the game to get better, and they're saying it's going to get better.
That is
or at least they're going to try to. And he's right. You know, all those need to keep turning. And with what Merc was saying, they've done it all from home. So who knows what they've been doing? And you know, there's the new Comet or Witch Queen. They have multiple teams. They have other IPs. Now, it sucks, dude. I mostly play PvP. I mean, I don't know. I know Merc plays a lot of PvP. Drew. The only time I raid is when I can, like, tag along. Like, I don't, like, set out to do raid days. It's like, hey, somebody needs me, I can go. But I play PvP every day, man. And it sucked for a long time as far as not getting anything new. So, like, these little updates with Stasis, then the gunplay. The 120 and Shotgun Nerf were needed. I think the game plays phenomenally as far as gunplay goes.
Yeah.
They're gonna look at abilities soon. So we're just gonna see how it goes. But they admitted that they're going to be making new maps, and I'm okay with returning vaulted maps, man. Just throw something in there before.
Shake it up a little bit while we're waiting for.
Bit.
Okay, fair enough.
Give us something.
Drew struggling with.
What I'm getting from this is like
uh-huh.
they are really committing and like assuring and giving us an insight on like their plan of like what they have to finally start bringing PvP support. And we've gone, I think it's 2 years now, right? It's 2 years. I think I remember the last time something PvP specific was like Shadowkeep, right? When I like got refreshed, I think.
Was it when
we got playlist updates and we got Fragment, I think?
Yeah, Fragment.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I remember. Yep, that was the last time. It's been years, and there's been a lot of silence, and it's been pretty evident that like, I mean, it's feels like at the least it's not been a priority or anywhere near a priority. Yeah, we got trials, and trials came back. I mean, like as it is in D1, and with all the flaws that accompany that, maybe even some more with the way that it was reworked. But regardless, I don't think we've gotten a lot. And for that reason, I think it does kind of matter that time has passed. I recognize that they are doing some things that I'm excited for. Someone else might say, well, these are things that just should be happening. I get that, and I agree. But I'm still excited and happy to hear this. And a cool guy, I totally get it. Like, I am also just like, hey, let's look towards the future. The game can be great. I believe in them. I'm glad they're being transparent. I'm always happy about that. But I totally also empathize with the frustration of a lot of people. Because people really stop. Yeah, like I'm not saying like I justify or condone people like lashing out on Twitter or something. Yeah. But I understand your frustration. Because again, years have gone by. At this point, no one really, I don't think a lot of people are thinking about how hard it is, and there's not even been really any communication about it. Like, it's just like this, almost like just PvP has been shoved off to the side. Nothing about game modes, nothing about the requests of that. So, I mean, when they start talking, I'm optimistic. I believe in them. It seems like they're kicking into gear, but like Joe said, the what was the phrase there? They have to open the faucet, yeah. Like that. Open the faucet again, and it's going to take time. And it's the other part of this is it's exciting to hear this, but they're being realistic and saying, hey, it's going to take time until like we really get to a place where PvP is going to feel a difference. And time's passed, right? So even for me, someone that has, I'm getting to a little bit of my ends wits with the game sometime and frustration with it. Even with some positive changes that I know the game's getting better, it's just slow. And we've been waiting and waiting and waiting. And again, future looks bright, but it kind of sucks and a little saddening or frustrating for some, I guess, that we have to keep waiting. And there's going to be the ultra cynical people out there that say like, well, how do we know this is going to pan out? Haven't we been here before? Haven't we been promised things? I choose to believe in them. I think, again, this thread shows like they have some cool, clear recognitions and plans. But like I said, I empathize with the people that are a little upset or a little frustrated, maybe.
Well put. I will continue to read. I think I left off here. If I repeat any of these tweets, I apologize. Per Joe. After reprised maps in Season 16, Season 17 will come with a brand new map. There are a bunch of new environments in D2, and we're excited to be bringing them into the Crucible. Finally, after those 3 maps are added to the rotation in 16 and 17, we will be remastering a Destiny 1 map and bringing it to D2 for the first time in Season 18. All this effort is going to be done in parallel with the team looking to fund the far future with a predictable roadmap of maps in Lightfall and beyond. Okay, so real quick on that little chunk, because when they throw around season numbers, I want to make sure everyone at home knows the timeline that we're talking about. So right now we are in Season 14. Season 15 is going to happen at the end of August, correct? And that is going to go until, I'm pretty sure, am I correct in saying 2022? Or is it...
It's a long season, right?
It's a long season
really
because Season 16, I believe, is the Witch Queen.
Yeah.
Which-
And let's remember, they used to do it before the holiday. They used to do it before Christmas,
Right. But
and
it got pushed back because of, you know,
so they could have that time, and
they
they
could
can
have
also
the time, right?
Yep, and also look at the season. Because
Yeah.
I mean, bugs happen over the holiday break. You got to send people in. I'm glad that's a good change. They have more hands on deck for these big releases.
So we got Witch Queen in early, probably like what, January, probably, or probably early 2022. And then season 17 is probably going to be spring 2022. So we are getting the D2 maps, the two D2 maps ported in with Witch Queen, right? And then a brand new map, spring 2022. And then
So April, May, June.
yeah, right. And then season 18, which is them doing a D1 map and bringing it into D2. That's season 18. That's probably going to be like a year from now.
Yeah.
Season
sounds
18. Right. And then they're going to be looking to the far future with Lightfall, which I believe Lightfall is 2023. That's the year after the Witch Queen. It's great that they're adding all this stuff. It's just like, that's a really, it's cool when you look at it in terms of like, oh, see, this season gets something new, that season gets something new, but it's a really long time though. That's spread out fairly thin.
As long as Convergence goes back in the vault, I'm good with it.
I was about to say that, cool guy. I was
Yeah.
like, I think this is the most critical point of giving feedback before they throw all their eggs in this basket. I am way more excited for a map being removed than a new map being brought in.
Yeah,
Or
I
an old
might
map
be with
being
you
brought
there,
in.
Kimmy.
Yeah, think about
I
it.
might
Like
be with
they
you.
brought a new Trials map. Excellent. That's going to be fun for that weekend. But when it's Convergence, I'm not playing.
Yeah.
So true.
When it's Widow's Court, I'm not playing.
I'm out, dude. I'm out.
I actually leave a couple matches or maps in quick play now because I just don't want to deal with it. They're not made for the mode. So
Twilight Gap and Convergence, Orbit.
yeah,
They
exactly.
just added the veto.
They could bring
Whatever
10 new
happened to
maps,
the veto
and it's not
thing?
going to change. It's not going to change shit for me. What would make me happy is saying we're doing a playlist where it's just Endless Veil and Javelin 4 in control, and I'm like, oh, all right, this is awesome. This is good
I'm
stuff.
in. 24-hour double EXP.
Yeah, Endless
Let's
Endless
do
Veil
it.
and Jab 24/7.
Yeah. That'd be
Moral of
sick.
the story is pretty much if you don't enjoy what you've got right now, like you're
Pick it up.
going quite a while for something new.
I mean, like, look, dude, I'm ready to buckle in for the long haul. I mean, if I didn't have faith in Bungie or D2, I wouldn't be with y'all on a podcast and I wouldn't be making content
yeah,
on the
for
YouTube
sure.
channel. But like,
Yeah.
I am fully prepared to occasionally be sad. It's maybe taking a little bit long, but that's fine because we have other stuff. I got Pokemon Unite. I got
Mhm.
Dead by Daylight. We got Halo Infinite coming around the corner. Like,
This is almost a Halo Infinite podcast episode prior to
Yeah.
Joe.
dude, it's like a
Yeah.
pube away, Mark. So close.
Yeah, who all
I want
played
to
it?
add one more thing.
I
too.
played it, dude. It was so fun.
Oh, dude.
I had such a great
played it,
time
Drew?
with the Halo Infinite flight
course.
test.
It was
Oh
good,
my
man. It was
God,
good.
Bots
so
all weekend,
good.
dude.
Did you get in
I'm
on the
adding-
actual PvP, Drew, with the people?
I did.
Nah, yeah, me
Oh,
too.
nice.
It was
Sweaty?
fun, yeah. It was sweaty, yeah.
It was. It was fun though.
How it
I had
should
some
be.
good games and some rough ones. I stuck at one of the maps.
It's pretty
Bizarre.
good.
I'm terrible at. I'm bizarrely bad at it.
So,
Wasn't
some
that
food for
good.
thought on this map topic.
Sure.
When I boot up Counter Strike, I just hop on Dust 2 because it's a familiar map. And over the years, they've just refined the map. They've said, all right, we're moving this box 2 inches to the right because it plays better. We're removing the ceiling here to add more grenade opportunities and that sort of thing. If that would happen in Destiny, I'd be so much more excited for that than a brand new map with a whole host of new problems or a potential for a host of problems.
Yeah.
And
And you-
going back to what Merc said,
Mhm.
I mean, PvE side, dude, with the cutscenes and the lore in the game, it's never been better.
They're crushing it over there.
yeah,
on
it's
the
never been
PvE
better.
on the PvE
Our
team. They're
team,
crushing it.
Like, keep it up.
So
Yeah.
I mean, if they put that type of nurturing care into
Sure.
the PvP side,
Sure. Yeah,
Let's do
they
it.
could crush it.
I would be surprised if they put 1/10 of the nurturing care into the PvP side. And I say
Oh.
that not to be entirely insulting, but they're a giant company, man. They have 800 employees. And how many do you honestly think they're bringing on to work on PvP? Like,
I can't imagine.
they brought
there's
on
none.
80 right? That would be a huge hire, and there's no way they're bringing on 8.
There's no way.
10 maybe, right? Like, no.
I think Bungie
yeah.
knows where their bread is buttered, right? I mean, like,
Gambit,
I think
100%.
yeah, the PvE side probably much bigger overall. They know they have people out there who love PvP, and they don't want that side to suffer. I don't think they're gonna have it thrive and flourish as hard as the PvE side, because that's a huge bar, right? Huge. You would need a game that would be built from the ground up to be a PvP machine. Like games like Overwatch, literally built from the ground up. We're going to build a competitive PvP game. I don't think that's what Destiny was. I think it's a pleasant surprise that the PvP is awesome, or I think it is an awesome attachment to a mostly PvE game.
I would love to see a Destiny like PvP spin-off where it has all the greatest hit weapons as map pickups and stuff. Like,
that'd be great. Oh.
Hope for the incubation project, right?
Sure, yeah. Fingers crossed. Let's move on to Joe begins to talk about things outside of the maps. From Joe. Maps are only a part of the recipe here. We also know we need to support modes. There are 3 main efforts going on behind the scenes. First, the team is investigating getting Rift into D2 next year. It's been too long since we've dunked on Guardians. The Destiny sandbox is sped up in D2, so right now the team is validating that the mode still holds up with our new gameplay. Second,
100% going to be the new Trials mode.
That would be
that
would be
at least you got to move.
Yeah, you have to move, and you have respawns, which is good. It makes it play like the rest of the sandbox does. I mean, I obviously I jest, right? But I would really love to see like potentially rotating.
I would be
Trials
down
game modes for a bit, and I actually think that there's a chance with how fast it plays, Rift would play pretty well as a 4 or 3 man like competitive thing.
People memed on it because like Rift was like silly, like because it's like an FPS game, right? You're dunking and moving around really quick, but I thought it played great. I loved Rift. I thought it moved really quick. I thought it rewarded aggression and teamwork, and I just had fun playing it. I would not mind at all, especially with how Trials plays right now. What would you rather play right now? Would you rather play Team of Chaos Reach Warlocks hiding around the corner, floss dancing to peek the corner while they top off their Geomag?
You're making the Geomags run though with Rift. What are you doing?
Or would you rather go in and be, playing steal the bacon, dunk in their face? I'd be down.
One of the few games where the objective could actually matter more than killing, right? Like you could win a game of Rift without getting a single kill if you played the objective well.
It would be hard, but you could.
Yeah, and people memed on it because it was so very often 6 stacks just absolutely dominating, like bad players, right? Because you couldn't flip the spawns because they were set sides and everything like that. People found out how to cheese it really quick, and then it became the favorite stat farming playlist in all existence, right?
Yes.
But if you actually look at it, like 2 competitive teams playing against each other in Rift was a sight to behold. Like if they actually cared about winning, right? It was actually, it wasn't the perfect game type, but it was actually really funny if you went in as a 6 stack and you got matched up against a different 6 stack, because it was like, oh, we're not farming now. Like now it's about bragging rights. Like now I want to beat that other 6 stack that's farming. It was actually, I thought it played really, really super well, personally.
Would love to see team-based queues. What's up, cool guy?
I would just imagine 5 people throwing glacier grenades to the Rift, and then like an Icefall Mantle Titan just running through
Slamming
it.
in.
All the resist with the overshield going for the dunk.
I'm looking forward to it either way.
If they're doing all Trials modes, I want to see them do Rumble just one weekend to kind of humble the community, and then they can go back to anything else. Just once.
just once. Moving on from. Oh, I'm sorry, Drew. Go ahead, Drew.
I'm really excited about the game modes. Obviously, this is the thing I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm happy to see all of this. I really am. I believe in them. It's awesome. It sucks that it's gonna take so long, and we've been waiting for so long. But it is what it is, right? Future, it could be great. I hope it will be, and I'm here for it. But I really hope that they do these game modes right. I am so super crazy not a fan of kill scoring. I'm really tired of kill scoring. I can't say it enough how much I dislike it. objective modes, you play the objective. Slaying is always a part of the game. That is how you succeed. You have to slay first in order to play the objective correctly. I hate to say it, spawn killing is a part of playing objective modes. That is a part of playing, like that's how you play it. That is how you play the game mode, is optimally predicting spawns while playing the objective and keeping players on their spawn and in suboptimal positions.
Yeah.
So I understand they probably don't want people like sitting there and farming KD or whatever and just farming players. I don't know what the solution to that is, but I just really don't want kill scoring to come back, or like in Rift. I always thought the base mode was really cool, but progress points, I'm like, progress points. It's either you scored or you didn't. Like,
yeah.
Like I don't know. I just never got that. I'm like, what?
Drew, man, you gotta come play Pokemon Unite with me. You gotta play it, dude. It's like League of Legends Pokemon. It's got Rift vibes, dude. It's all about pushing into the. It's kind of like it. Like you push into their side of the map. You dunk.
Progress points
it's
just
all
turns
about
into like
it's all about
mid
the
with
scoring,
the bubble.
man.
Nobody gets the ball now.
It's just like seems like a hand holding mechanic. Like it's just so odd to me. So I mean, maybe like I don't know, maybe like even if these game modes are coming out and to make it so that they play great, like maybe this is what goes in. They'll have an opportunity to be on as a rotator, and then you also put them all into like a revamped glory playlist. That could be cool. You're kind of setting the precedent, or maybe like in the glory playlist they won't have kill scoring enabled when it's a rotator or like another playlist. It will, like, to maintain competitive integrity. I think that'd be really dope. So I'm hoping for that. Maybe some private match settings to turn on and off kill scoring, something like that. If they don't want people just left to be farmed for like 10 minutes, that could be cool. I'm just saying, like, I really hope that these game modes are done right to play well, or at least have the settings to do so.
I would agree.
And keep in mind, they can always add to it, like, because all we've really had is revives, right? But like remember how bad revives were? The shield
and the immunity.
And the immunity, yeah. So they took that away. That made that better. So like as it goes on with these new OBJs, like I really hope that they pay attention to certain things that could be built upon to be a little bit better and doesn't take a while to fix.
Yeah. Also add oddball or you're a coward.
Zone control.
Yeah. Zone control, oddball, king of the hill, hardpoint, however you know
King
it
of the
is.
hill, yeah.
King of the Wither Horde.
Do it.
I'm gonna love it.
King of the Wither Horde. Moving on from Joe. Second, the team is working on multiple brand new modes for 2022. We aren't quite ready to spoil these yet, but we're excited to offer new twists and rules to the ways that you can make Shaxx proud. Finally, after the dust settles on the Trials update in Season 15, we want to look at what other broad systemic improvements the PvP ecosystem needs. We want to provide something on the scale of the Trials rework to players every year. So this thread has turned into a tweet novel, but I wanted to make sure we shed some light on what's going on behind the scenes here. Overall, we're still very interested in growing the amount of Destiny we make every year. One way to hold me accountable by looking at our careers page. We're looking for environmental artists, gameplay designers, lighting artists, and more to help improve our PvP output. We know you want more Destiny, and we are committed to growing the team that's going to make that possible. It's always risky to talk about what's in the oven, as dates and specifics might change, but it's been a while since we talked about PvP, and we want players to know that we are working on content for all those Guardians who like to spend time with Shaxx and the Red Jacks. There we go.
Needed to hear
that. I'm titillated, color me titillated about the idea of providing, depending on how good the Trials rework is. If the Trials rework is great, and they do something like that every year, so then if you look at everything from afar, we would have a good rework every year. We'd have new maps and new modes every year, in theory, once they turn the faucet back on. That sounds good to me. Again, I'm kind of bummed that it's taking that long, but I do appreciate that they're open and honest about it. I would much rather take the full transparency than them not saying anything because they're worried that, Sammy Spaghetti Dick on Twitter is gonna, meme him and be salty for, we've heard this before, fuck you, right? Like, I would rather them deal with the salt and be honest than just say nothing, right?
I'll comment on that thought.
Do it.
So the most important thing I see there is broad systematic improvements to the PvP ecosystem for what it needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what that tells me is like the hardest pill to swallow in the Destiny community. Some look back at Destiny 1 as like this magical era of chaotic PvP, and it was fun because nothing was balanced, everything was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason that they think that is because everybody sucked at Destiny. Even good Destiny players back then suck compared to Destiny players now. We're just so much better at the game. We have so much information for people to gather on PvP and up their skill. And so we break the game on a regular, at least what it used to be. And so Bungie has to appeal to this. They have to design the game so that someone brand new feels competent, but someone who is an expert feels in control. And that's like an impossible balancing act. They can't really do it. And so they kind of give people what they want in waves, and it goes through this cycle the entire time. Like, people are now complaining about special weapons, yet before Forsaken, that's what should have saved the game in their opinion. So we're looking at another rotation here. See you in a year.
And Titanfall did a good job of doing what you said. The first one did, of making the gap between a brand new player and an average player was pretty small, but the gap between an average player and a great player was very large, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the problem that Destiny has is almost the opposite of that, right? Like, the gap between a slightly above average player and a great player is like, it's there, but the gap between a brand new player and an average player is like massive. And so what happens is it's almost impossible to get new players to start playing PvP in the current state of the game, right? Like, imagine being a brand new player who's never touched this game before and just getting like tossed into Iron Banner. Like, you're gonna get slaughtered and you're gonna have no idea why you're getting slaughtered or how you're getting slaughtered or how you're getting killed. Like, people said this before, and it's not just true for PvP, it's true for PvE as well. The new player experience in Destiny is horrible. Like, it's really, really awful. And they're like milking everything that they can out of their veterans that keep playing, right? But the new player experience is awful in PvE, and it's even worse in PvP. And so there's a huge gap in between being like, oh, I'm going to try a new game. And you try Destiny for 2 games, and you just get absolutely massacred. And then you quit, and you go play Splitgate, which has a much better new player experience, or Warzone, or even Apex. Or like any of these other PvP games do a much better job of indoctrinating new players into their ecosystem than I think Destiny does. So that's something they're going to have to rework too, and it's not going to affect us probably at all, other than just like getting more people to play. But I don't know how much longer the game can survive with the ratio of new players trying the game on a day-to-day basis is probably 1 to 10,000 compared to the amount of people who are playing.
Well said. I think he can add on to these tweets on that ecosystem comment and add ranked. Adding ranked would give us a place to be and something to strive for and make the new player experience good because they can play people on their own rank.
Real ranked and not shitty survival ranked.
Like, right.
Yeah. we had that, and I mean, now it's been neutered, and I don't know what's been made of that playlist now, but...
Are we talking about the comp playlist right now?
Yep.
Yeah.
I have not
stepped
foot into comp.
Makes me so sad.
I literally forget that it's there. Why is it a thing? Like,
the ranking system's not good. The game mode is not good.
There isn't a ranking system.
Matchmaking is
ranking
not
system's
good.
absurdly easy
like,
now.
Yeah,
it is.
For me personally.
Yeah, so
it's like not good.
Yeah, the whole thing is awful. Like, they need a ranking system and a game mode that plays enough like Destiny, like zone control, right? Like, zone control 4v4 would be a great comp mode, right? It feels enough like normal control to where people aren't like, oh, this is an entirely different game like they are with survival. And at the same time, like, please get an actual ranking system that makes some sort of difference. And like, if I see a 5,500, I'm not like, you could be the worst player on earth or a cheater or really good. I literally have no idea because 5,500 means nothing.
Yeah. And also there's no reason, like, what do you get from going into there? A pinnacle? Like,
Title.
What?
People go for the title.
For the title? Does, like...
But you can't
Unbrokens all the time, so it's like, I don't even know. Getting Unbroken is more a matter of persistence than it is a matter of actual skill at this point.
Yeah,
which is great because I'm glad that people can persist and get Unbroken. But when I see Unbrokens that have a 1.0 KD in comp and a 0.7 KD in quick play, and they're trash. Either they bought it, which is horrible, or they're just awful and they played enough comp to where eventually they got there. Which, in my opinion, this is like Drew's thing with Rift not wanting like progress points, but I really don't like the idea that comp is it rewards you just for existing in the game mode. It's like, how much comp can you stomach before you're literally like, holy shit, this is awful.
Merc the Cobra is spitting venom right now all over the mic.
Dude, and think of where we were at one point. Think of where we were. Pinnacle rewards aside, like I understand like the problems with them. Sure, I get it. Like, let's just not think about that. Let's think about the playlist itself. The ranking system was harder. It was more difficult at the time to progress through.
Losing streaks.
It had the losing streaks. It was difficult. I want to say, like, it was a lot more difficult than what it currently is, which feels like just a time investment, as you said. And we also had different game modes. We had like survival, countdown, clash, and control in 4v4. Like, it hurts to fall from grace. I feel like
It can't be as hard as Redrix was. Like, we talk about pursuits and go on for something. It can't be as hard as the original Claymore.
That was so hard to get. That means way more than any Unbroken.
It means way more, but it's really inaccessible. It's really inaccessible, dude.
They don't have to have a Redrix as the reward. They can just have
I'm not saying ignore that.
Have the level of challenge behind Redrix and don't put it on something that can create FOMO in the sandbox like a weapon. Put it on like a super rare emblem or title, something like that.
You can do both. You can give a Redrix like reward for time in the playlist, right? But there has to be something at the top end for the great players who get it, be it an ornament for Redrix that nobody else can have that makes the gun glow so bright that when you look at them, it blinds you, right? Or like a different cape for hunters, or like something that's the flashiest shit you've ever seen. When someone's like walking around, you're like, oh my God, that's fucking big dick energy, right? Like, you can do that at 5,500. It doesn't need to be a gun that affects the way the game is played. Because then you lock people out of potentially the best gun. Because either it's the best gun and half the players in the world can't get it, or it's not the best gun and nobody cares about getting it, right? So, Halo 3 had a great true skill ranking system, which, spoiler alert, true skill is owned by Microsoft, so you can't just like slap that into any game, right? Like, you have to license it from them. And also they figured out how to game it towards the end. But like, they had it to where you couldn't lose ranks until you hit rank like 15 or something like that. Now, you wouldn't gain points if you lost, right? So you still had to win to progress your way forward, but you didn't lose points. So what it did is it like kind of congregated all these not so great players into like a big bubble at the bottom, which made them all feel great because they're all just playing against each other and having a good time. But then the good players like accelerated really quickly out of that and started matching against each other. You can put a reward in there that's like, play 100 fucking games of comp and you get yourself Redrix V2 or whatever. Get to skill level 5,500, you get this badass ornament for your Redrix. Right. And then you're going to motivate players to play, but at the same time, you don't force them to be good. But the skill should still mean something. Like, getting to 5,500 should still be impressive. It shouldn't just be like when you see a 5,500, you should be like, that dude's either a cheater or he's good. You shouldn't be like, how much time did you spend in comp this season? 200 games with a 0.4? That's 5,500 well earned.
I think the last one was Komodo. I think that was the last Crucible Pinnacle, unless.
Yeah, maybe.
I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I mean, now they have this one weapon universally can earn anywhere, which I'm okay with. Like, I think that's cool. You can play whatever you want, even Gambit, right? But I do agree that there needs to be something to chase. But like, I don't think it. And Merc's right. Like, it can't be a weapon. Like, it can't be as hard as the Claymore, and it can't be just. Well, I mean, I guess it could just put your time in, but you get people jumping off the map. You get, like.
Wait, couldn't you like have like it be a time investment up to a certain point, and then it gets like exponentially harder after that point?
I think I hate the slippery slope fallacy, but there is a slippery slope there, right? Of like, what happens for like new players who come in and it's impossible for them to get a gun 4 seasons down the road or something like that.
Oh no, I'm not saying tied to a weapon. I was just saying the ranking system as a whole, like just on pure difficulty of the ranking system. Like, what if like up into 2,100 or something like that? It's like more of a time investment and progression, and then after that point, 21 to 5,500 is like okay.
Yeah, what if getting to 5,500 is every bit as hard as it was during Redrix, right?
Yeah.
But Redrix is only tied to getting to 2100. Like you said,
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
lose points until you get to
Right.
2100. And then after 2100, you do. You could do that, and people would play,
Yeah.
man. Like if you make the gun good enough, I mean, we saw it with, Thorn in D1, right? Where that thing was like an awful, awful piece of crap to get. But yeah, you saw people doing everything in their power to get it because it was a great gun. But pretty much everyone could get it. It just took bad players a lot longer than it took good players, because the original World War was like 500 kills with Void in PvP or something like that, and it was freaking miserable.
What I've always loved, and I really wish that Bungie would adopt it, it's what Apex does and Respawn, dude. Like, so they have their ranked seasons, silver, diamond, and platinum, and all these fun things all the way up to Predator. And what they do is after the season is done, so like say Destiny had 250-500, and there was bronze, silver, gold, platinum. They're different tiers, and let's remember Halo Reach had something like that too. Because Halo 3 was like Brigadier and then all the way to the General, but Halo Reach had something similar. Basically, you put it in, but at the end of the season, for that tier, you get something special. So, like, when you're dropping in Apex lobbies and somebody has the Predator trail that's really bright red, you need to stay away from that guy. Or same thing, like, the Diamond players got a Diamond trail and specific things for getting in Diamond, whether it be skins or ornaments for the weapons. I've always liked to see that in Destiny, because everyone would get something, and it would the following season, and like my wife plays a ton of Apex. She's like, okay, and we got Platinum, then she got Master, and she wants to go further than that. But once she hit Master, she got the Master trail. So when she drops into lobbies in public, spaces, they know that she's a really good player, and it makes her feel good, right? So things like that too could happen for Destiny, whether it be a trail on a ship or maybe a certain shader that you can identify, like, oh, okay, he got this season. I've always thought that would be really, really cool, or something similar.
Yeah.
I don't want to sidetrack the conversation, but
Do
on
it,
the
bro.
note of FOMO, the tower kiosk where you can just grab stuff from the past?
Yeah, sure.
What if like a semi-crafting system was brought back to work with Menagerie? Literally Menagerie. They can copy paste it but expand the loot pool so that you can get some of the treasures from the past, but you might need a rune that only comes from the comp playlist to get one of those old weapons.
I'm
Food for
all
thought.
in. Say no more.
Say less, Cammy. Good points all around. This conversation has teetered back and forth between being like, I'm interested to see what's coming down the pipe in the future, to being like, wow, comp really fell from grace, didn't it?
Well, I mean, that's the root of the problems right there. We don't have a place to strive for anything.
No, we don't.
Yep,
The only
nothing
thing
to
that
reach
comes
for.
the only thing that comes close is Trials, but it's not even
Trials is awful. So
it's not the same. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you don't even
I-
get stuff just for playing a ton either, right? Like you don't even the most basic reward, like even Reach, like Cool Guy said, had like Inheritor and stuff like that. Where it's like even if you literally do nothing but just play a shit ton, you still get some cool stuff. We don't even have that in Destiny 2. Where it's like I'm even being rewarded for playing, 10,000 games of PvP in a season. Like no one cares, no one sees that. I can put it on my little tracker, that's about it. Right? But like there's no super hard to get rank that just comes from just playing a lot. Like that's even the easiest thing for them to do. They don't, you could put that next to a rank system. That's what Halo 3 did. Worked super, super well, right? Like you could never step foot in a ranked match and end up like a grade 5 private or something like that, which is still freaking impressive. If you ever saw that, you're like, holy shit, this dude played 50,000 games and never played ranked once. Like that's really impressive.
GG.
But even in Destiny 2, we don't even have that. What do you get? You get Valor that you have to reset every 2,000. Like just let my Valor go up infinitely. I want people to see that I have 28,000 Valor this season. I don't care about resetting it. So
Oh God.
I'm not going to use
All
that
right.
Pepper Sting anyway.
and it's just
Wow.
awesome because I have to go back to the tower. I mean, the whole thing is just
So remember in the past how Bungie was seemingly very reluctant to separate PvE and PvP sandbox, but
Sure.
recently in the last year we see things like stasis completely be different in PvE and
It's
PvP.
happening a little more and more. Yeah.
I feel like they're reluctant to split the identity of PvP for casual and competitive, kind of like PvE and PvP in the past. I would love to see a more watered down PvP, a more controlled PvP in a ranked environment, and then let the new players have their fun in the quick play playlist with the whole sandbox.
Yeah.
And not just the curated one.
you can choose from blue weapons and blue armor. That's all.
Even that would already be a significant improvement down to the cooldown amount.
Hmm.
It would have some cost on stats too.
It's all
Choose
worth a
from
try.
white weapons and white armor and unleveled guardians who have no abilities. That's
That
true
might be
skill.
pushing it too far, but you're right. It is true skill. I mean,
It's
even
gun skill at
lowering
that
the
point.
aim assist stat on some guns would help a lot.
Imagine the breakdowns of that. All right, the Psy Umbra 7 has 14 aim assists. You don't need to be using that one.
I mean, they could
That's
do
what I
that
do.
season to season too, like a new offering of those kind of things. I mean, back
Yeah.
in the day, we used to use the Allegro and the Aachen because they were rare weapons, but outperformed the legendaries.
Mm-hmm. And the Azimuth D,
That is true.
Mm-hmm. Kill clip on a 110. Yeah, I said it.
a 3-tap.
I said it. Finally, if you care at home, and judging by the Gambit play numbers, you probably don't. Joe threw in one extra tweet regarding Gambit. Didn't want to derail that thread. Long term, this is Joe, by the way. We want to get people working on new maps for Gambit. Currently, we are playtesting all up Gambit Foundation changes for Season 16, which again, Season 16 is the Witch Queen 2022. Focusing on heavy ammo econ, primeval fight, invasion, cadence power, and more. How thrilled are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Merc is already shaking his head regarding the upcoming potential changes to Gambit.
Well, if we put something like bottom dollar in there, I mean, like we could say it broadly. I'm like, I don't really care. But then again, if something like bottom dollars, like, because back then, dude,
The
it was the
community
thing
will
to get.
do anything.
It was a thing to get. It was
for good
so.
loot.
I mean,
anything.
if I have to go in there and you're changing it up,
Make it worth our while.
thank you. You know.
Yeah.
Give
I
up
feel
on
like half the
Gambit.
problem is I have no reason to go into
It
Gambit.
started with the sleeper.
Just get rid of
2 years
Gambit,
ago.
man. The whole thing just needs to go away. Do something else. Use those resources to build PvP stuff. Like, you're going to get much better return on your investment from that in terms of player retention and community happiness than anything you could possibly do to Gambit, short of like an entire rework of the way the game mode works. Like, you give us 2 new Gambit maps, right? And that means we get, let's just say, like 1 less Crucible map. I doubt it equals out that way, but right, like, let's just say
I
that's
get
happens.
what you're saying.
The community is not going to be as happy with 1 more Gambit map as they would, or 2 more Gambit maps as they would 1 more PvP map. So, like, just cut the losses on that thing, trim some of the fat from the game.
As someone who used to enjoy Gambit a lot and thought it was a really cool game mode for a long time, I loved the speed element to it. It was like whichever team could like burn through everything quicker. It was really interesting, but it's sat on the shelf for too long.
Dude, I think it really died when the Invader became really OP, dude.
Dude,
I know
the
a
Invader
lot of my
is
friends.
the most important thing.
Yeah. Like,
yeah,
like you can have all the
it's supposed to-
Sentry armor because remember they tried that, they retired all that. But even
I do
before then,
remember.
the Invader, dude, like it really brought down the game.
So all those issues he listed have been problems almost since its inception, and we've been
Mhm.
saying this since its inception.
for a long time.
So, and I've also been saying Gambit has potential to be the best offering in Destiny 2. I stand by that. It's one of my favorites. But I've been saying it every season. You can look back in these 32 episodes of this podcast. I've said it a lot of just, we need to get a handle on this heavy ammo economy and the Invader strength.
Let me.
I mean, at the pro level, like best players in Gambit, invasion's not an issue. You can't even invade because they have it pre-spawned. You can't even step out.
I'm gonna say that, Cammy, I agree with you. As someone who used to enjoy it a lot, I really enjoyed how quick it was. I think there's absolutely potential there. It could turn into something amazing, but like my plea to Bungie is that if we're just gonna kind of like keep Gambit on life support, if they're gonna put resources to making it barely passable, and they're gonna ignore the major problem points, sign me up for Team Merc, dude. Just axe the whole project and just put everyone behind PvP, because we know people want more lifeblood being pumped into PvP. Like, if I think the potential is there, but if we're not gonna make it like something incredible, just
I'll try to rephrase this, make you guys see why I enjoy Gambit.
Sure.
Like, PvE has let me down every single time. Even like the Master Vogue and all the hardest things that have ever existed, they always let me down, and they're always nerfed to a more accessible point. And maybe that's a good thing, right? But in Gambit, there's that element of PvP. It is a straight speed run race. Your team versus someone else's team on how well you can mob to set up a good invasion. And there's some strategy to it too, from a shot calling perspective of exactly what you do on the fly in response to the enemy team. It's just, like I said, those pain points that Joe hit, they've been there the entire time, and that's what's holding back like
Super
perfection.
bad.
And let's not act like, well, some of the PvE enemies are like harder than contest mode, like day one.
Oh yeah, in Gambit, it's harder.
Yeah, they don't play around out there, man.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is Gambit is the only place I can get PvE engagement, and everything else in the game is a straight miss for me.
Well, you know, maybe, but imagine how much easier it is for the sandbox team to not have to balance now for Gambit too, right? When something's broken in Gambit, super annoying, like sleepers, xenophage, stuff like that. You can cut out that workload, that test wake that comes along with it. You don't need those people designing maps. You don't need people creating new game modes for that. You can shift all that into PvP, or you can shift that into a new PvE mode that takes the best parts of Gambit. Because let's be honest here, like Gambit without invaders, totally different story, right? Now it's a PvE activity. Now it's a seasonal activity. Now it's whatever its own thing, right? You could roll what's good about Gambit into a PvE activity and probably make a lot of people really happy and worry way, way less about the sandbox balance nature of it and free up a ton of workload for other people or for other aspects, right? So I'm not saying you have to like burn Gambit to the ground and incinerate every aspect of it. It was a cool experiment. But you know, it was an experiment and they never iterated on it. And so now it just languishes. And to be quite honest, like I think it's probably the least popular activity in Destiny. If you look at Strikes, PvP, and Gambit as three separate things, like I can't imagine that Gambit is doing too hot.
Yeah, I think it had the same problem as Comp, where it was just way too inaccessible. If you're a organized team versus anyone who's not an organized team, it's not a question. You're 100% winning.
You're suggesting freelance Gambit then?
No, the opposite. Only teams.
The Trials Gambit.
Ooh.
Mark, you don't mean that, brother.
Yeah.
I think it's unplayable on freelance. I really do. Like nobody does anything to help. I have to run 4 roles at once. It doesn't work.
God in heaven.
I generally agree with like all the opinions on Gambit that we've talked about. I think the one merit of Gambit is like it's this blend of a mode that's like not quite as threatening because I guess it's quote unquote mainly PvE with a splash of PvP. And it's pretty on rails, right? Like even when you invade, like you can see everyone. Like, but I think that the merit in it is being a mode that can take newer players that's less threatening and potentially get them invested, or rather, wrong word, interested in PvP, and then they segue to PvP. So I think that's maybe where the value is of that mode. Just like, you know, again, I agree with all the problems with it. Like we've talked about it so much. I love the idea, so many problems. I agree entirely, but I think that the one thing that keeps it from like, oh, just take out Gambit is that it does seem like that mode that allows that's less threatening, that allows newer players to like potentially start getting interested in wanting to go play PvP, especially when there's no SBMM right now. So yeah.
Do we have any final thoughts? I know we all agreed that we were going to keep today a short one. We got a short podcast up for you, y'all at home. But we hope that you enjoyed the conversation. I know that I speak for me when I say that I was very interested by everything that Bungie and Joe kind of talked about today on Twitter. I think there's a lot of potential for good-ish in the future. I wish it were coming a little sooner. I understand the situation, but I'm in.
We're still here, aren't we?
We're still here, dude.
I'll still be here. I believe in them.
That's right. I believe in Harvey Dent.
If the last two, I don't know if that's the example you want to use for that.
Bad example.
You would. You would.
Like I said, it's sad that it's like, you know, in a way that it's taken so long, and we all understand the shortcomings, but it's kind of like, oh, we're finally hearing it, and it's like, yes, it's gonna happen, but it's like it's gonna take a long time, and it's like it's only sad because I'm excited, and
there you go.
I'm willing just at this point just, hey, you know, it's done is done. It's happening now. This is the outlook of the future. I'm happy to be here. I'm gonna be here, and I believe in their team, as I always have, and I don't know, I'm here for it. So
yeah, I'm gonna go with your Harvey Dent thing, and I'm gonna say you either Either you die a dredging or you live long enough to see yourself becoming unbroken, right?
I think that says it all. Well done, boys. We're gonna go around the table, let everybody at home know where you can find us when we are not here on the show. But first, message from Cool Guy.
I just want to say one more thing. Like I said, man, like I'm really like I needed that from them because for me now, I mean, for the past 2 years, it's been stagnant, right? It's just been like a little puddle of water, stagnant. But they started hitting us heavy with some of these stasis updates. Honestly, the 120 shot in the shotgun nerf was big for me. But as it goes forward, yeah, maps are good, but playing within the maps, dude, like they're talking about abilities being changed and possible subclasses or retuning, right? Whatever happens down the road, like I think that's just as important to keep it all fresh and lively. So like, but with what he said today, needed to hear it. 1000%. I'm glad that they did.
Cool Guy, tell me one more thing.
Yes.
Where can the people at home find you?
Well, Cool Guy Games on Twitter and YouTube, and on Twitch, I am Cool Guy Games.
You see that? That was a goddamn transition, by the way. Yeah. Top tier. You can't teach that. Cammy, where can the people at home find you?
Twitch.tv/CammyCakes. I'll
Beautiful.
just do that one for now. Thanks, everyone.
Fair enough. Drew, where can the people at home find you?
I'll take a cue from Cam and do the same thing. Twitch.tv/Drewskis.
Merc, how about you, buddy? Where can the people find you?
I'm on Twitter, Mercules904, and I'm on the Destiny Massive Breakdowns podcast, wherever it is that you listen to podcasts.
There you go. Breaking the chain. Don't plug one thing. Come on, what are we doing out here?
I got two things, man. I'm not big like you guys. I gotta take every view I can get.
Yeah. YouTube.com/FalloutPlays, Twitch.tv/FalloutPlays, Twitter @FalloutPlays, Patreon. No, I won't go that far.
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
Grindr. Thank you
I'll find
all
it
very
in
much for
Fallout.
joining us live on the Firing Range podcast. Wherever you listen to us, we appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you next time. Later.
Still on the air.
Yeah, still on the
Stop
air.
recording.
As we all.
The
still
audience
live.
is we're live.
We're
Oh my
live.
god.
If Dominic Toretto has taught me anything in this moment, I'd like to share with you guys.
Yeah.
Family's important. You guys are my
Almost as
family.
important as Corona.
That's true though.
Yeah, so it started with like Cam, are you drinking Corona right now?
Yeah, I am.
I was like,
Oh my god, it's classic.
He's like, yo, can I have a beer? As long as it's a Corona.
Love it, dude. By the way, Cammy, everyone thinks that you have cat ears. It's because of that
Yeah,
pillow
I
on
do,
your
I do.
gaming chair. It's goddamn
Secret lab.
Gotta hit
hilarious.
him with the
Super really funny. Who are we hosting? We've got
Nominate Mylan.
Mylan?
Yep.
Mylan Games? Sure. I'm in.
Or a maze. Okay.
We've hosted a maze a couple times, I think.
We have, yeah. We haven't done
It's
Mylan.
rare that we get the
We have.
Australians on at the same
Doing
time
it.
we're on, so I feel like
true.
Doing it. Everybody
Do
go
it.
check out Mylan Games on Twitch. We are rating them. Thank you for joining us. We are now pulling the plug. But show them a little love, and we will catch y'all later. Peace.
fun episode.
Yeah. I'll
That was
get
a
that
good one.
uploaded.
Yeah.